until you need a selfie stick. So, if you don't want a selfie
old
stick,
age has a part to play in blurred vision.
Yes, in terms of what we call, that's what we call presbyopia, that you need glasses for reading. So when you are growing at 540 and you find out that you cannot read well, it's not a sickness. It's part of the aging process. So you just go for it.
But there are instances where a blurred vision could be a sign of a much more serious condition for the eye.
Yes. Something like, if we take glaucoma, for instance. Glaucoma is a disease of the eye which does not show. When you look at somebody, you cannot tell whether the person has glaucoma or not. He's seeing well, then all of a sudden you find out that maybe as he's walking, he's bumping into things, or things are not clear. It's because the pressure inside the eye, the same muscle which produce or which change the shape of the lens for you to see far or near, those same muscles produce water or a fluid, what we call aqueous. And this fluid comes from the front, from the back here to the front, and goes out here. For some people, as they are growing, the passage, the place where the water goes out, begins to get blocked. So when it gets blocked, I mean the water is coming, but it's not going out quickly. And so the water stagnates here and causes pressure in the front part of the eye, and that pressure pushes on the lens. The lens also pushes on something here we call vitreous, and that finally pushes on the nerve. And the nerve cells begin to die. And when they die, that's what's called glaucoma. And then the vision too could become blurred.
We've been told that persons who have certain pre-existing conditions are more predisposed to have blurred vision. And those would include persons with diabetes or with high blood pressure.
Yes.
How true is that?
Yeah, that's very true. Now, when someone has diabetes, the lens, which is growing throughout life, has what we call, there are things going on in the lens called metabolism. And this metabolism has to do with sugar metabolism. And so when somebody has diabetes, the sugar levels are high, and so it causes the lens fibers, which are protein, to change very quickly, and then the person gets blurred vision much earlier than his or her age mates. So if somebody has diabetes which is not controlled, the person will get cataracts earlier in life. At the same time, diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes, can affect the back of the eye, what we call the retina. And when that happens, it leads to bleeding and some, what we call exudation, things coming out of the blood vessels, which then cover the back part of the eye, and the person cannot see well. Hypertension also does the same. So hypertension also leads to bleeding at the back of the eye, and that one too can cause your vision to be blurred.
You mentioned that the eye needs to be lubricated. So can I assume that dehydration is also one thing that can lead to people having blurred vision?
Not exactly. The eye itself produces water. There's a gland on the eye, on this part of the eye, which we call the lacrimal gland, which produces water. When the water is coming out, it comes under the eyelid. When it comes on the white part of the eye, what we call the conjunctiva, the conjunctiva produces something we call mucus, which is like a gel. And then when it mixes with the water, as you blink, you lubricate the eye, and the mucus causes the water to stick to the eye so that it doesn't run off easily. And the eyelid produces oil which covers it to prevent evaporation. So your tear film is not just water, it's mucus, water, and oil. Now, there are some diseases which, when they occur, they can cause the mucus production to reduce. The one which causes the water to stick to the eye. Like if you have vitamin A deficiency or malnutrition, can cause the mucus component to reduce.
Is that affected by our lifestyle choices?
Like this, it's about the type of food you eat.
So diet is a key component.
Yes, that is a key component. And then some come as a result of age.
Okay, again,
so yes, as a result of age. So when that happens, the tears don't stick long enough on the eye and easily run off. So then the eye, although it is tearing, we say it is dry. Then you need some lubricants to be wetting it from time to time. Then you can see better. Okay. And then even in this time, because of computer use and phones, sometimes when you're looking at something on the screen and it's very interesting, you are looking at it like this, you are not blinking. So at the end, your blink rate reduces and the tears on the eye dries up, and then you feel some discomfort. So when you are working on the computer for a long time, after you work for about 20 minutes, you take some time, just look off the screen, blink for some time and come back, and then you'll be better.
Right. So at this point, I want to know, when someone notices that they suddenly have blurred vision, suddenly, so it's not something that they've noticed over time, but it creeps up upon them out of the blue, what should that person do immediately?
You should see the eye doctor immediately, because sudden loss or sudden reduction of vision has a lot of causes. One of the causes can be that there is what we call a vein occlusion. Vein occlusion means that the blood vessels which lead into the eye can get blocked, and then you can have a vein occlusion. Or sometimes you can have what we call a retinal detachment. Retinal detachment is an emergency. Retinal detachment means that the back of the eye where the light will fall is peeling off. Now when it peels off and it gets to the center, the vision drops drastically, and when even if surgery is done, it cannot be restored back to its original vision. So once you get that, you have to see the eye doctor immediately.
Is blurred vision the same as, for example, night blindness? We find people who, for example, when they are driving, they struggle because the vision is not what it should be. What's happening there in those situations?
Okay, that one is not nice. Now, it's just that they don't see well. It's happening that they don't see well, and they have been managing through the day. But when the light, as I said at the beginning, we see when light enters the eye. So when the light reduces, because they don't see well, and the light component is also reducing, then their vision becomes worse. So then they will need to correct their eye. Some people also are sensitive to lights, so that when they are driving and other cars are coming, their lights blurs their vision. They have what we call glare. In that case, especially people who are growing and they are beginning to get cataracts, when oncoming cars, the headlights comes on them, everything becomes blurred. So in those cases, it could be corrected with glasses, and if the glasses are not helping and it is due to a cataract, then the person goes for cataract surgery and will be fine.
It brings me to my next question. Glasses, contact lenses, surgery. Is any one of them better than the other?
No. Depends on what you need. Now, if you have a refractive error, like I said, refractive error is not a disease. It can be controlled with glasses. You get your glass and you are fine and you can see the world. Now, somebody who has a refractive error, his lens in the eye is clear, so that person doesn't need surgery. But someone who is growing and his lens has become cloudy, which leads to cataracts, then that person needs surgery. No glass in the world can correct that vision. Because if you wear the glass, as demonstrated here, if you wear the glass, when light passes through the glass, which is here, it will need to pass through your natural lens. And so long as the natural lens is cloudy, you'll see cloudy. So when some people who are growing, they are getting cataracts, they keep cleaning their lenses, thinking that their lens is dirty. But the dirt is not on the lens. The dirt is on the natural lens, which is inside the eye. So everyone gets what he needs. If you need a glasses or lens, you wear it. Some may not want to wear glasses and may want to have contact lens. Contact lens is also a way of correcting the refractive error, just like glasses. So if you don't want to wear glasses, then you wear contact lenses.
What then would be the advice, because you mentioned staring at screens for a long time, for people whose work demands that they stay with computers, apart from the 20-minute break that you've mentioned? How can they protect their eyes from getting or from deteriorating if they do even have blurred vision to begin with?
Yes, so once you look on the screen a lot, you work with the computer a lot, if you see that what you are seeing on the screen is not clear, you see the eye doctor and let them check the eye first, find out whether there's any problem.
Does the screen protector help, or is that just something we tell ourselves to feel better?
The screen protector, you know, the screen, what is coming, there's radiation coming from the screen. And radiation can also be damaging to the eye. Radiation, a lot of radiation can cause you to get cataract earlier than usual. So, and then if you find out that the light is uncomfortable to you, you know, God made us to enjoy life. So you have to enjoy your life. You can't be standing on the screen every day of your life, and every time you have problems and you are still sitting there and having the problems.
But some people also resort to self-medication when there are problems.
No, that one is very bad, because the eye is not for sale. If you go and get something which helps you to maybe see better, it's like maybe someone having glaucoma, then he just goes and he is having glaucoma at the same time his eyes are itching. So once his eyes are itching, there are drops, what we call steroid eye drops. When you put them on the eye, you feel comfortable, very comfortable. But the steroid eye drops have the side effect of increasing the pressure on the eye and causing the glaucoma to become worse. And glaucoma does not pain and does not itch. So if you have glaucoma and you are itching and you put those drops, you feel comfortable. And then once you feel comfortable, you say, wow, this is like a magic medicine.
Can glaucoma be treated? Someone just sent us a message on us.
Oh yes, glaucoma can be treated. Glaucoma is just the increase in pressure on the eye. So when you come check it, we can be treated. We treat it first with medications. If the medications don't help, we go for surgery. Surgery can be done. I know that there are a lot of people who have been told that for glaucoma we do not operate. It's a lie.
Right, Doc. I wish we had a bit more time to get. I was going to ask you about carrots and if it's true that they are good for the eyes. I don't know if you can quickly, 20 seconds, just talk about that.
Oh yes, they contain things, beta carotene and other things which help in the nutrition of the eye. The eye has what we call photoreceptors, which need vitamin A and other vitamins.
Which we can find in carrots.
Yes,
so
and then
keep eating
in oil, in red oil.
Zomi.
Zomi, yes.
Okay.
So it has a lot of vitamin A. So we are blessed in this part of Africa that we have red oil that we can cook with. So we don't have a lot of vitamin A deficiency. But in other countries, Eastern African countries where they don't use red oil, they have a lot of that problem.
Dr. Kofi, thank you so much. I think I'll take your contacts. A few people have asked. I'll take your contacts and maybe pass it on to those who are asking. Dr. Charles Mensah Kofi is the medical director. He is an ophthalmologist at Ram Eye Clinic on the Spentex Road. You can reach him or look them up also and find your way there if you have any problems. Definitely do not self-medicate when you have blurred vision. Thank you so much, Doc, for sharing a part of your morning with us. So now you understand blurred vision and what you need to do if you find yourself not seeing too clearly. On the breakfast table still, we are at mile 7 interchange, and my colleague there, Alan Darrow, will tell us what he's looking at. Is the traffic situation good? Are there any issues there of concern that we should know about? Darrow, what can you tell us?
Hi, hello and good morning. Welcome to mile 7 in the Greater Accra region. This is a nearby environ with Achimota. From the shot you can see behind me, traffic is filing in from St. John's into Achimota and then to mile 7 north and mile 7 south. It is just about coming up to 7 a.m. in the morning, 5 minutes to 7, and as you can see, there is a really very good build-up of traffic coming from behind me. If we pan the camera around, you will at least be able to identify 1 or 2 reasons why traffic is so built up this morning from where we are. In fact, it is not only limited to where we are, just about the mile 7 interchange or the mile 7 junction. There is beyond the mile 7 junction as you approach Achimota. There is a very good build up both on the overhead and also on the side road leading into Achimota. One of the causes of the traffic here is traffic coming in from the other side of mile 7 and coming through the roundabout. Indeed, there is an intersection or a zebra crossing for pedestrians, but some drivers would willingly ignore that and drive as if they have no sight of the pedestrians, and this can be dangerous for pedestrians. And so pedestrians crossing at this mile 7 overhead should be a bit careful as they do. Now what you can see in the distance is the build-up from beyond the roundabout or the mile 7 junction where I am currently stationed. You can see a good build-up all the way towards the next, which goes into Achimota, Neoplan, and then to the Achimota overhead itself. Pedestrians or commuters who are coming from here towards Achimota might want to use other alternative routes, and these alternative routes will be that at the St. John's interchange you can take a right, and that will take you in and around the townships, bringing you towards mile 7, and then you can use the same back roads. That is, if you're heading towards a Circle or Abofun, you can come up around La Paz, and then you're good to go. Also, when you get to mile 7, if you come beyond St. John's already and you're at mile 7, you can take a right turn into the Mount Township, use the back roads. Traffic is relatively slower and faster on the back roads. It may be slow because of the nature of the roads in the back roads or in our neighborhood roads, but that would get you faster than you staying on this main road. And then, as you can see, on the main road, on the overhead, traffic is at a standstill. Traffic isn't moving. It is at a standstill. But on the side road, the slip road towards the same direction, that is towards Achimota, you have traffic flowing smoothly. This is because there isn't much impeding traffic on the slip road and not on the main road as you approach Achimota. This currently is the situation with traffic at Mile 7 Junction. And this has been Rush Hour on #GTV. I'm back to you in the studio, Thelma.
Thank you, Darrell. I'm very, very familiar with that stretch of road. It looks like it's horrible traffic for those heading in from the Pokwasi side of town. Heavy traffic on what you call the main road and fairly moving traffic at Mile 7, as reported by my colleague Alan on the scene. We'll monitor traffic also at the Tema area, and we are at the harbour intersection. My colleague Jay Gabra is there now. Jay, what's happening in the port city? Right, so my colleague will be giving us those details in a little while, but we've just seen the Mile 7 interchange and we've seen the traffic situation there not looking good for persons traveling from Ofankor towards Accra. A few messages coming in asking for on conversations about our blurred vision that we had just a few minutes before. I will get you the contact of the good doctor who just left us, and I'll let you have that as soon as we finish rush hour at the harbour intersection. Jay.
Yes.
What can you tell us is happening at the port city right now with regards to traffic?
Good morning. It's another Monday morning. It's a brand new week. Once we have live, we are full. So this morning we are bringing you the rush hour report from the harbour extension right here in Tema. You can tell this place used to be a place where it was just one lane. So getting to your various destinations from this side used to be very, very hectic. But thanks to the expansion that's been going on for a few years now, this place has seen quite a lot of change. So as you can tell, the traffic has eased up considerably. So for those who are coming behind me from Sakmono, Nungwa, Barrier and all that, you can tell their road is free for them coming towards this side of the area. So if they are going towards 23 or they are going into Tema itself, the Tema Township, their road is free as well. The road is eased up for them, so there's a free flow of traffic. So road commuters using this side will have a very free flow of traffic. You can see how free the road is on this road. So even those coming from Committee 2, Committee 1, Committee 3 towards this side of the roundabout, you can tell their road is free as well. And then you can see where the container shipyard is as well, where you can tell for those coming from the harbour area, you can see the outside is also free as well for road users and for all the trailers coming in from that area as well. You can tell that road is free. And this I just wanted to say I'm glad about the situation right now. So if you're a regular user of this road and you're coming to work this morning, you're going towards the Tema Harbour or you're going to Tema itself, your road is quite free, and you can tell the traffic is flowing freely, so you have a safe route to your place of work. And you can see the Terminal 3 right beside me over here. And you can tell it's a Monday morning. They have started their work activities. Things are building up for them. And I can tell later in the day, traffic will pick up. But for now, it's a free flow for traffic. It's quite steady moving. If you're using this side this morning, I want to assure you your road is free. You will be fine.
The way back to the studio, Jay. With that free flowing traffic, you can make your way back here as quick as you can. But we have it on good authority from Jay, and also in the studio from Mr. Nikwate Titus Glover, former Minister for Transport to Deputy Minister for Transport. Is telling us that free flow would become something completely different later on in the day, and Jay has just told us that. But for now, It's free moving and you can make your way if you have to go through that point to get to your destination. And this has been Traffic Watch. So rush hour, we are monitoring traffic situations across the city and beyond. And you know what to expect on Mile 7 and you know what to expect at the Harbour intersection. GTV Breakfast is live on GTV and we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Kaf and his panel to talk about all the issues that made it to the front pages of the papers on the headlines segment. We'll be back.
Live from
Good morning.
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling helping.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast.
So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style complimentary breakfast
On-site restaurant.
or room service?
We've got you covered.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m.
With a trusted team.
So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show. Live from GBC Studio 1, this is the Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling helping.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast.
So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style complimentary breakfast
On-site restaurant.
or room service?
We've got you covered.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m.
With a trusted team.
So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
Good morning.
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling helping.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast.
So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style complimentary breakfast
On-site restaurant.
or room service?
We've got you covered.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m.
With a trusted team.
So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Good morning.
It's a good morning, and we...
Hi, good morning. Welcome to the show, 13th September, and happy birthday to you, Dr. Kuma, at 50 today. You are at Choko Community Hospital, and the birthday wish is coming from Becky Odampton from Obonu TV. So, Dr. Kuma, you share a birthday with Dr. Ephraim Amu, who would have been 122 years old today. And for those of you who think about his name, what do you know about Dr. Amu apart from Yanara Assassin? I'd like you to know from 555-556-1034. We have conversations on governing boards and their councils in the public service, and then pre and postnatal nutrition, what to eat before, maybe even during and after the baby comes into the world. So that's right here on GTV Breakfast. And my guests for the headlines are Mr. Daniel Kwate Titus Glover, the former Deputy Minister of Transport, and Mr. Bernard Mona, former chairman of the PNC. Mr. Titus Glover is with the MPP, and Mr. Mona, of course, as earlier, is with the PNC. Gentlemen, you are welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to go through the headlines briefly. I'm looking at today's BFT. GRA set to commence night operations to collect taxes. That's the one which jumped at me. There are other headlines. Zoomlion training 51 women in heavy-duty truck driving, and banks cannot be blamed, says Dr. Twehini, for wide gap between lending and policy rates. But I want to jump into the night taxes. That one is quite interesting. Night taxes. GRA has hinted that it will soon commence a vigorous night operation to register and collect taxes from traders who work mainly at night. So they are looking for more money, basically, and believe that moving in the night, we can't leave the night to this sounds quite unique. Bernard, good morning. What do you think about this? Some innovation from Ghana Revenue Authority. They want to collect money from traders who work at night.
Well, I think that first, good morning to my chief, and then to yourself and to your technical crew. Unfortunately, they are not seen to be doing any work, and they only see you and those of us who come for discussions. But behind the scenes are these men and women who have to make sure that everything comes nicely for the viewing public. So my best regards to them. Let me say that when I was working for the then Internal Revenue Service, it was something that was always envisaged, that there are businesses that operate largely in the night, and by daytime they cease to operate. There are market women, and in the Upper West region we have a lady that if you go anytime of the night, when you are hungry, you can always get food. We call her Naglama. And Naglama starts her service normally after 8, 9 until around 3, 4 a.m. and she's done. And so if you are a tax official, and you are going around seeking daytime, because from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we are done with official work. It means that her business, which is normally booming, you will not be able to get her share of the taxes. If you go to Medina, there is a watch seller that comes from 11, and by 4 a.m. it's done in the night. Now, because I know these joints, because I don't sleep early. Now, throughout that hour, a lot of people, and it's amazing, within that hour, you go and see the kind of cars and vehicles that are parked there. Because you are traveling, you are from far a distance, you come and you are very hungry around that hour. You look for something to eat. And so a lot of people go there. There are many other businesses. If you go to the Kaneshi Food Rest, if you go to even Medina in the night, then you see that people now bring out their wares. Throughout the night, they are trading. Unfortunately, because our tax system is said that our official office working hours is said that you start from 8 and you close at 5, and after 5 all offices are closed, you do not get the opportunity and the benefit to get into this, and therefore the tax net is still narrow. If you expand the tax net, you will see that you'll be able to factor all these people, and therefore the tax rate would even go down, because you will now be able to rope in many others that were not paying taxes. And because you have been able to bring in other sectors into the tax net, you realize that no, you don't even need to raise the tax rate as we are currently suffering. Businesses are suffocating because the government is desperate to raise money, and at all times we keep putting taxes, levies, and other charges on commodities. But when we have a broad base where we can take a little from each and everyone, the payer will not feel the pain. And the receiver will also realize that no, people are bringing in the taxes. People will be genuinely willing to pay. So I don't think that it is anything. The only disadvantage is that in our country, night work is seen as an abomination. And so most of our strategic institutions, they even close. Internal Revenue Service, I go to office, I'm tired, I have my private work, I can't get time to come to the Internal or the Ghana Revenue Service to come and do the needful. Then the time that I have to also now do my payment, there is no office that is functioning.
So this is a good idea.
This is a good idea. The other thing that I just wanted to say is that, look, our working hours must be relooked at. There must be some people that should work throughout the night for some of the institutions. And if we are able to do that, I'm sure that people who get tired, they leave and they go. I go to the gym to go and exercise normally after 7 p.m.
Your arms bear witness to that.
You understand? Yeah. I do my exercises after 7 p.m. Why? Because there are facilities that open after 7 p.m. If you want to go to a grass sports stadium, for instance, it will be closed.
Okay.
If you're going to LWAC, it will be closed.
So get creative.
So let us use these things so that people who cannot get time in the day can also have time in the night time, and then we can all support the economy. Okay. Fantastic idea if it's able to get the light of day.
Thank you. Mr. Texas Glover, you see this working in the night markets and the areas under your jurisdiction in terms of your former constituency?
Thank you very much, Kafui. Let me equally associate with Mbatai Lab for your warm reception to us, and also to wish your team all the best for all the good work you are doing. Very early morning like this is not easy. But I think that is the spirit of nation building, and the fact that GBC will always set the pace to make sure you give us the best content to enable to drive this country. So we say kudos to your team. Taxation, we all know, is the bedrock of every nation's development. Without revenue through taxation, it is always difficult for a nation to thrive. There has been a lot of ideas and suggestions that the people who are contributing to the tax generation are very limited. The formal sector have always been put on pressure, and consistently they have been responsible for the payment of taxes in this country, while the informal sector is always left alone. Therefore, there's a need for GRA and the Finance Ministry to be a bit innovative and to also expand the tax net so that everybody can contribute his or her quota into this tax revenue generation. This is long overdue when you ask me, because we need to think outside the box to find out what we can do to rake in more revenue. I recall when I was an assembly member in Tema Municipal Assembly then, in the year 1998 to 2002, we had a finance officer, a typical woman. He's called Mr. Sumwa. And I can tell you, when it comes to these market tools and areas where they could not touch in the previous years, they first of all send his staff into the market and tease out areas, and they have a manual, they have a plan. The previous year, things that they're supposed to tax on, which they didn't capture, they'll make sure they go around and gather all those data. When they are done, those women and traders in the market, excuse me, are invited to have stakeholder consultations. They look, the assembly need money, we have to do this, we have to do that. Therefore, in this year, we want to impose some sort of fees or that. Then they all come in to make some input.
Looks like a similar thing is going to be happening, because GRA is going to be working with the police and then the Ghana Union of Traders Association.
So clearly, there is that stakeholder consultation that is done. And I'm happy they have captured it. Some education and consultation need to be done.
Yes.
Now we need to look at the targets. We need to look at the target, because, for example, like Mbatala said, when you go to Kaneshi market, and there's this night market of traders, the assembly of Kaneshi market falls under AMA. They also have night collectors who goes round to collect some fees from these women. Then we want GRA also to come in. That sort of difference in revenue collection need to be explained, because somebody will not understand that AMA will come and collect something small, the GRA will also come and collect something small. That is why the stakeholder consultation is very important.
What is the essence of having the police on this team?
And there are some recalcitrant traders. I mean, police, in a way, you need to protect, first of all, the revenue officer who is coming to collect revenue. And the fact that the revenue, I also pray that they will not collect physical cash. There should be something electronically. Mobile, something like that, because the police cannot be everywhere all the time. And in the night, you know how these nocturnal guys, the way they operate, and you can be ambushed and collect all the money from you. So if the police are going with them, it means that they want to give them some backup, some security to that extent. Now, let me say that Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority have started something which, for me, I think is so essential.
Also night operations?
Night, they're doing night shifts. You know, hitherto they run only day. It is only the MPS Terminal 3 terminal that does day and night. We have customs officials right at the terminal who are responsible for making sure that revenue are collected and all that. So now GKT is also running shifts. You understand? In a way, they also generate some revenue, you know, into the state, to make sure we are able to expand the tax rate, to make sure people will try and contribute. There are a lot of people who want to evade tax. They don't want to contribute. Yet they are putting pressure of government to fix certain things.
Fix the country.
So without revenue, how do you do these projects? So I think that is a good novelty. And let me commend my big brother, Mr. Misha Dai and his team for having that good thought to make sure that we're able to rake in this revenue for us.
Yes, and we hope those of you who are trying to take advantage of this to now go around posing as GRA staff, may you be nabbed by the police and may your sleeping place be changed, all right, if you're going to do something wrong. What do you think? I mean, are you somebody who operates mainly at night? What do you make of this particular move? The GRA claims they are doing some sensitization. Have you been sensitized? Do you know that this is about to happen on you? Let us know. 055-556-1034. It's the headlines on GTV Breakfast with my guests, Mr. Taxloga and Mr. Mona. We're looking at the papers. Today's Ghanaian Times has a variety of headlines. Whole community SHS abandoned. Veep hints of passage of law to promote construction sector. And police arrest cop over stolen motorcycle, AK-47 assault rifle in Kintampo. Let's talk about the police. So the police at Kintampo in the Bono East region have arrested one of their own. It's a friendly fire. Lance Corporal Christian Ajay Boateng for stealing a motorbike belonging to the service. The motorbike registration number, and it's all there, was found at a mechanic's shop where the suspect was reported to have brought it there for sale. Wow. So they conducted a search in his apartment, at his private residence. They discovered some ammunition, some body armor, a body bag, ballistic helmets, and dried leaves. You know, in Ghana, when they say dried leaves, then you see suspected to be Indian hemp. So Lance Corporal Ajay Boateng, in his caution statement, admitted stealing the items. And so the police have basically clamped down on one of their own. And he's been arrested. And he also admitted that he bought the Indian hemp for his personal use, but refused to leave the police where he acquired it. He's currently in police custody, assisting in investigations. It's quite serious. Kudos to the police for arresting one of their own, but this is quite a serious thing, and it probably lends credence to allegations that sometimes these criminals have inside guys within the police who are helping them to conduct their operations. What's your thought on this, Mr. Mona?
Well, first, it's commendable that in a million the police is able to nab one of their own. There have been several instances where the security agents have been involved in cases of fraud, extortion, and sometimes unnecessary brutalization of citizens. And when the matter is brought, the police or the security agencies begin to cover up their own. And that does not lend confidence or elicit confidence from the people. In this instance, somebody's motorbike is missing. They suspect a police officer was involved. They make a report, they find the motorbike somewhere, they trace, only to realize that it is one of the police officers who had brought the motorbike there for sale. If you go to the police stations across the country, you see the number of motorbikes that are parked there. You see the number of vehicles that are parked there. And sometimes, in our communities, really, if you come from Sankana, and Titus will tell you, we don't have DVLA, and I have capacity to buy a motorbike. And if the police want to be tough on you, they say you must produce a permit or a license that enables you to ride the motorbike. You don't have. And so they arrest you. Motorbike. And so you should have permit to ride motorbike. If you don't have, they arrest you. They seize the motorbike. And the person, probably, if you are from Nanvili or far distance, to go back and come and organize yourself at DVLA to go and get a motorbike license, maybe too Herculean. So many people. And don't forget that when our people see somebody in uniform, ab initio, they get panic. And once they are panicked, they don't even want to come around the police station. They don't want to. Because once they see a police, they don't want to have anything to do. So sometimes they rather leave and allow their assets to be with the police. And somebody will be monitoring. If they see that this motorbike has been parked here for a while, before you realize, the logo eat, as we say in Ghanaian language, and it is gone. And so these things have been happening. And sometimes some of the instances that we get these arrests, they are pathetic. You know, recently I was in Wa, and I sent one of my nephews to go and buy me bread in the night. On his way, apparently his motorbike number plate fell off. The police arrested him, and then they said, your motorbike is not licensed. He said it's licensed, and indeed I licensed it because during my campaign I licensed the motorbike. So they just took the motorbike. Boom, they were riding to the police station. He called me, he wanted me to speak to the police. They would not listen, so I had to follow up. This time I was no more lazy to go out myself. So I followed up. When I got there, I said, the motorbike is licensed. So we have to go home, brought the documents, and then they released it. That was me. Many other people will not be. Because if a number plate falls off, really, there should be some way that you can allow the person to go. And but if you take the motorbike away and the person had to walk, if you know where I stay and then going into town, it is something different. And now the person was a risk unto himself walking from that distance. The police didn't care. You understand? So I think that what the police have done is good, and we should encourage them. As for the issues of the dry leaves, I always have an issue with it, because I think that, look, we are over hardening our system. I would not smoke, okay? But I don't think that criminalizing Indian hemp, which I think has enormous commercial value, that other countries are benefiting from it, we should continue to take that line. The President of the Republic had even asked Parliament to see to the facilitation of the rules and then how we can take advantage of this particular product. If you go to other countries, they have normalized it. You go to New York, you can go and buy Indian hemp of various grades. If you go to the Netherlands, you can buy it of various grades. Coffee, alcohol is sold on the market. Those who want to drink, they drink. Those who don't want to drink, they don't drink. So, but we keep criminalizing this thing, and that sometimes the person who is even arresting you, if you take a sample of his own blood test, you get to realize that he has shifts more. So I think that this issue of dry leaves and all those things, I hold a different view. We can make enormous money from it. We should encourage people not to consume it in the manner that they are consuming it, because look, when I was coming, I had to smell some pomade, and if you read the hair pomade, there was Indian hemp in the hair pomade. Somebody's using it for commerce, and we can go and buy it and come and give so that we can put it on our hair.
It's not enough to make you high, though.
No, I mean on your head. You know. And these days, there are days, I can tell you, they use it as toffee.
Okay.
And so if you say they should not smoke, they will take the toffee.
Ganja toffee.
Yeah, ganja toffee, and they will still be high. They will make ganja tea and they will still be high. So this thing about we found dry leaves. Okay, if you went and found tea too in the house.
All right. We'll have a conversation on this another time, but I can see where you're coming from. So let me switch to Mr. Titus Glover. I don't know your thoughts on dried leaves, but I know you want to be talking about
talk about
the police arresting their own.
Misconduct of this.
You are highly interested in this story.
I have a friend who once told me that in the police training schools, instructors can easily determine among the trainees, those who will not last when they come out of the service, are from their training, and they are posted to various stations and all that. The characters some of them exhibit at the training will tell you that this guy will not last. He will involve himself in A, B, C, D, and it's just like they are prophets. I mean, who in his normal sense, a police officer in a uniform,
it's crazy,
that you are supposed to protect your own people, now turn yourself into a criminal?
Stole a bike.
First of all, you stole a bike. Second, you have illegally have AK-47 rifle. We sometimes hear that some of the police have been giving ammunitions, weapons to armed robbers.
And the weapons are allowed to go home.
You understand? So clearly, I need to find. You see, this matter should not be just left like that. Kavi, how did the weapon got into the hands of this police officer?
Took it home.
Because normally what they do, when I was the deputy minister, when I'm traveling to the countryside, my bodyguard, apart from sidearm, goes for AK-47. He go and register. And when we return, he must return it back. So when did this guy got this rifle in his private home? What is the history of the movement of weapons from the armory of that particular police station? Does it mean they don't check their stock? They don't check who have collected and returned a weapon? So it means that the officers...
That is to assume that this is coming from the police service. It's possible that this man had his own arrangements. Don't forget that our officers, some of them have died in combat. And so you go and pick the arm somewhere and then you use it. So if it's not taken from
even when an officer has died in service, and you get police weapon, do you keep it in your private house? You return it. Because all the weapons
to use it for the kind of dubious things you don't return.
Numbers written on it.
Yeah. Of course,
so why do you check
at home? Yeah.
These weapons and their numbers?
Registration.
You have all these records showing.
Yeah.
So
it's a
I blame sometimes the police administration in that particular region, in that district, in that station.
Because there should be a record of
there should be a record to monitor the movement of these weapons. So who should be blamed?
So it goes beyond this.
Not because of the misconduct of this guy, but the inefficiency of the officers in the district, in the region, and in the station. The station diary, the movement of these weapons. How did it get out? Then here again, you go and involve yourself in this criminal act. Motorcycle that is in the station. When you come to Temanai, sometimes they do a swoop, and a lot of these guys who are riding don't have, and that's why the police in a way try to collect it from them and try to do some security awareness all over the place. But I think that a lot need to be done. Now that he has been arrested, he should take those and the rest of them, they are there. They're in the service. Because they are not caught, we don't know what they are doing. Yeah. So they should serve as a lesson to some of them what they are doing, and to make sure that we wipe out some of these criminals in uniforms tormenting our people. Sometimes you see them even going to armed robbery.
So they say every day for thief, one day for master.
Of course,
you know. Every day for police thief man, one day for master.
Matala has raised a very controversial matter in terms of the legalization of weed.
Marijuana. Yeah.
It's very controversial indeed. Like you said, he gave some examples in Arab, which is in Holland and other places.
Medical marijuana.
But it's well organized. But over here, the abuse is such that you cannot phantom as to how we want to do it. If indeed we want to do it, it needs some sort of discussion.
Serious discussion.
Some discussion needs to be held.
Okay, awesome.
Because if you open the floodgate, somebody, even when you send it to the shore, in as much as he sells at the open area, he can go there and buy as much as he can't. But if you want to regularize it, there's a number of times that you can buy at a particular time. You know, so clearly it's very lucky as to how we want to handle this matter. For now, I think it's quite serious. If we want to legalize this.
All right.
Mike Tyson is into India hemp farming, and he's making lots of money.
That is America.
That's America. Don't worry about
America.
That.
When you go to Sekwa,
he's into it.
Brown area. That is one of their very important cash crops. I'm telling you.
No, and the thing is that if you are into animal husbandry,
all those areas,
you do know that when you even soak the leaves in water for your birds to drink or to take. Oh yes.
And the birds get high. Can they fly?
Yes, I am.
Birds fly?
No, from why? Don't forget that I'm a farmer. And they drink. You normally don't have these diseases killing your
bird flu
and those.
What is the scientific proof of what you are saying?
I am telling you from indigenization. So we do that. But I just needed to add a certain point. We should also watch the kind of recruitment that we do.
Indeed. And these days, says that the people can find out whether somebody is not good.
Like party boys. These days, you get up and you know that somebody is not proficient to be in the security service. And you are the one fronting and pushing the person to join the security service. You front for people to go to places that you know that they are not qualified to be. And when they come out, you expect that they should do something different from what you know them to be.
So that's another angle. Watch the recruitment to make sure that the right people are coming in. This is headlines on GTV Breakfast. 055-556-1034 is the WhatsApp number. What do you think of the stories? Police catch police for stealing motorbike.
Police catch police.
Yes, police catch police. And then night operations by GRA to extract more taxes from people who work at night. We want to know if you are a night trader. We'd like to find out from you. Your thoughts on those topics would be great. We want to briefly look at these two stories before we take a story on the 122nd birthday of Dr. Ephraim Amu, which falls today. Be vigilant at polling stations, collation centers. Mahama urges NDC members. It's page 618 of today's Daily Graphic. And PNC fight ends up in court. I'll start with Mr. Mona. So the internal issues that you did not want to speak about, you even quoted a song the other day about keeping quiet. Well, the fight has ended up in court, and what's the state of play right now in the PNC?
On my way here, I got about 5 calls, and all of them were coming from the members of our party who, like me, are very disturbed about the leadership failure that we are currently experiencing in the party. And they wanted my opinions on it. I pointed out that the factions that have emerged are all wrong. And that in one breath, you are a general secretary, you are called before a disciplinary committee, you sit down and write a letter. So if me, an ordinary member of the party, I'm also hauled before the disciplinary committee, I also sit down and write a letter. We will not respect the institutions of the party.
Okay.
In another breath, I'm a complainant. And I know that I have complained about an issue. I take it to the disciplinary committee, and I know I have to chair neck. And so the disciplinary committee brings a report and make recommendation. I come and sit and chair neck and take a decision. That is also wrong.
So what is right is that the case has gone to court.
Yes, and so at this particular moment, it is the Council of Elders that probably should have been called upon to look into this matter and to see how we could resolve this matter without going external. Unfortunately, the manner in which things are done, and I'm sure that my chief will attest to this, it is for a reason that even in government, a minister has deputy ministers. But when the minister is not available, the president appoints a minister from another ministry or sector to oversee the running of the ministry while the deputy ministers are there, because you don't want deputies to be digging their ministers. Do you understand? In our instance, probably because Dr. Mahama set the example, you dismiss a substantive officer or suspend a substantive officer, and you go and bring a deputy to come and act, when there are substantive officers in other places. So that alone also creates its own friction. And I think that the two sides, as I've said, I've spoken to the Council of Elders extensively. I've given my opinions on how they can resolve this matter. Don't forget that I'm personally not in a position to solve this problem, because I was rejected at Congress. The people who are in leadership, if you go trying to say that they are wrong, it may be misconstrued to mean that because you lost to them, that is why you are taking this position.
So you are just watching disinterested party.
I have to. The only people I can speak to is to the Council of Elders. There have been many other people behind the scenes who have been supportive of the PNC. And I've been talking to them quietly and said, look, this is the party you love. This is the party you have been contributing enormous resources to. And this is where the party is heading. You need to come in, rake these two sides so that we'll be able to have some rapprochement at the party.
And hopefully everything will
I
be
just
sorted
hope
out
that
in
we'll
court.
be able to overcome, and that, as I've known most times, the judges will tell you, point out and tell you to go back home and go and deal with this.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Titus Glover, I will not have you comment on that. I want you to comment on Mr. Mahama, because I want you to talk about I want you to talk about Mr. Mahama's
Mr. Mahama.
No,
you have to choose. You have to choose.
No, why? When you do that, you are gagging me.
I'm gagging
you.
you.
Bring me from Tema to come and gag me.
Oh.
You raise a matter. Let me say so.
Am I gagging you?
Of course, you're gagging me.
By the way, don't forget that since last week he's been pushing me to talk on this matter.
No, I'll speak briefly.
Yes, but I'm out of time.
He doesn't know what I'm going to say. Seriously.
Okay, tell me about PSC. Tell me about PSC. Yes.
Mbatala just said something that Dr. Mahama dismissed someone.
That is Atiq Mohammed.
Yes, then I'm saying that why my brother was the chairman. Why can Dr. Mahama on his own accord dismiss the general secretary, and him sitting there knowing how tough he is to allow that to run?
I didn't.
But that is.
I didn't. Everybody in this country know.
Let him finish. You are eating his time. You are eating his time.
No, he's my chief.
You continue after. Let's go.
I have a problem there.
Okay.
But it is becoming too repetitive, where general secretaries are having problems. Right. PNC has contributed in this Fourth Republic so well, and I'm not happy what I'm seeing. Right. I'm happy Mbatala said from the input they sought from him, He said, now that the Council of Elders have taken the matter up, it's a good sign.
Good.
They should write and withdraw the case from court, because in every party's constitution, you must satisfy internal processes, structures, before you go to the court. Right. Because immediately you go to the court, they will ask you whether you have exhausted the internal party structures.
Indeed.
If you haven't done that, then go back, because you have a mechanism that deals with grievance.
Okay.
So I believe that the advice that he gave his colleagues,
right,
they will listen to him very well, and with the kind of experience that he had. He has shared PNC on 2 terms. Is that not correct? Yeah, so that at least they can give you that ear and bring this matter home and get it resolved, so that together we build the Fourth Republic.
Okay.
And then comes the Almighty.
I'll talk about towards the end of the segment. We'll bring it up. Look. Okay. I will talk about it.
A matter of interest.
I will talk about it. I'll talk about it. But today is a really important day. Today is the 13th of September, and our own venerable Dr. Amu would have been 122 years old today. I put up the question to the internet and TikTok, Facebook generation. What do you know about Dr. Amu apart from Yenara Assassini? And I got a couple of comments. It will be interesting for you to hear. So Esino says he was the first person who dressed traditionally and mounted the pulpit to preach the word of God, and was tagged as a fetish guy and excommunicated from the Presbyterian Church, now Ghana Presby. He also composed Nia Denyigba Lolola. Okay, may his gentle soul continue to rest in peace. Martin says Dr. Amu is a Ghanaian who hailed from Peki Avetile in the Volta region of Ghana. He's a composer of Nia Denyigba, which is Yenara Assassini. And finally, a third one. His house is deteriorating. I think it should be used as a music gallery. That's what Harrison Akbalu says. Well, we want you to have a feel of who the man was, and then after that I'll speak to one of his children, Mr. Kosi Amu. But first of all, check this out.
We are checking ourselves out.
Yes.
Right here.
It will happen.
No, we are checking ourselves. We are checking them. Your team was not ready.
Yes. I'll get your comments on that.
Ephraim Kwaku Amu, the man behind Ghana's most popular patriotic song, Yenara Assassini. This song was originally composed in the Peki dialect in 1929. It was in response to requests from one of his pupils who was then teaching in a primary school. According to Dr. Ephraim Amu, the teacher wanted something African to celebrate Empire Day. It was later translated into Tree. It probably became popular when the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation decided to use it as the last item for their programs. It is recognized by many as the unofficial national anthem of Ghana and has been translated into other Ghanaian languages. As noted by the eminent African scholar Professor Emeritus J.H. Kwabena-Nketia, quote, there is no single individual who has influenced the course of the development of art music in contemporary Ghana as much as Dr. Ephraim Amu. This is an extract from the book written by Professor Emeritus J.H. Kwabena Nketia, Introduction in Amu Choral Works, 1993.
The song is not all defiance. It presents a philosophical challenge in the very catchy refrain, Omano, sebeye you. Omano, say you. Eyesana Hose, Omapo Bra Nature. Whether the nation will prosper, go forward, or whether the nation will decline, it is a truism that it will be a reflection of the character of its citizens.
Undoubtedly, Ghana's greatest exponent of religious choral music, singing band, and nationalistic anthems was Dr. Ephraim Amu. He was born on 13 September 1899 at Peki Avertile, also called Abenase, in the Peki traditional area of the Volta region, and as a male child born on Wednesday, he was called Kwaku. He first went to school in May 1906, and about age 12, he entered the Peki Blengo EP Boarding Middle School, where he showed much interest and love for music and agriculture. His interest was not surprising, as his father was a woodcarver, a drummer, and a singer. With time, his music career grew more wings. He has other great hymns and patriotic songs under his lips in Eve and Akan from the 1920s on, including Edikamfu. Fairville, Mawada Yesu, in Kwajinyum, Junto, Yanu Bibrima.
So that's a look back on the contributions as far as culture and music are concerned of Dr. Ephraim Amu, whose 122nd birthday is being marked today. And we thought, hey, let's find out who the man was as a family person. And we have on the line right now one of the children of Dr. Ephraim Amu, Mr. Kosi Amu. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Kafi.
It's great to have you on GTV Breakfast. We're celebrating 122 years of your father's life. How did he, or did he ever even celebrate birthdays when he was alive?
Oh, yes. Yes, my father's interpretation of a birthday is as soon as the year comes, he considers it as a birthday. It hasn't got to be on the day itself, but as soon as the year turns around, he considers it as a birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And on the day itself, we have this tradition of cooking and preparing mashed yams with palm oil, and then the celebrant takes an egg. So this is done for everybody who celebrates his birthday in the family, and he's not left out. He does the same thing too.
What do you remember most about your father growing up as a young man? What kind of person was he?
Oh, my father was a super father. His time consciousness, his orderliness, his very meticulous in what he does, and strict. That is a very strict person. Strict in the right sense, and not in the wrong sense. If you understand what I mean.
Yes, a disciplinarian who would correct you if you are going wrong. Is that it?
Precisely.
Did you feel the weight of his cane on your buttocks when you were growing up?
Fortunately, unfortunately, I can only remember him caning me twice in the whole of my life.
What did you do?
It wasn't that. And that my mother had to really instigate him to do that. You know, mothers, when they want you, they can't get at you, and then they do it through your father. So your father has no choice but to to you.
Yes, we know him for music reasons mostly, and I'm just curious, did he pass the music gift on to you?
Well, I have music in me, but I didn't actually study the music. It's my sister who did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this year it's 122 years marking his birth. How is how's our Amu family? How's our Amu family celebrating your illustrious father?
Oh, we just wished each other and pray for wherever he is to continue to rest in peace. With the advent of the social media, we get in touch with each other on the same platform, and we wished each other well.
Okay. I know there's a public lecture on Thursday as part of the celebrations this year for organized by the Ephraim Amu Foundation. Can you give us some little sneak preview of what to expect?
Yes, that is being done in collaboration with the Institute of African Studies, and it will be on by Zoom on
Thursday.
On the 16th.
All right.
The 16th of September.
Okay. I'm sure we'll find the link and pass it on to
the speaker for the event is Professor Tetelai.
Fantastic.
From the
we look forward to joining in that Zoom lecture marking 122 years of
definitely.
I can't let you go though without you giving us a feel of your voice. I want you to sing one of your father's songs. One of your father's songs to close us out of this interview, Mr. Kosiam.
Kafu, you are getting me on the wrong way.
Now.
Which one should I do for you now?
Anyone which comes to mind. No pressure. Thank you. I put you on the spot, but you delivered. So thank you so much. Wishing you and the family the very best as we celebrate 122 years of Dr. Ephraim Amu's sterling life. Thank you very much, Kosi Amu. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Yeah, second child, first son of Dr. Ephraim Amu, who was there live with us on the GTV Breakfast. We're going to jump to my colleague Jay, and I'll come back and wrap up with my guests right here. Jay, you are reporting to us from a Ramsar site. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
Good morning, Kalfui, and thank you. Good morning once again, and welcome to the Sakmo Ramsar site, also known as the Sakmo Lagoon, here in Sakumono, which is quite close to Tema, along the coast here in the Greater Accra region. A Ramsar site, basically, which is named after the Ramsar Convention, which Ghana signed in 1988, is basically a wetlands that has been preserved as a home for animal and plant life. So this morning on Keep an Eye, we are here to monitor the situation which is happening at the Sakmo Ramsar site, which have faced a number of challenges, including the fact that there has been a number of encroachment. If you can look at the scene around me, I want to tell you how integral wetlands really are. Yes, wetlands are among the most diverse and productive of ecosystems, providing essential services and supply of fresh water. There are land areas that are saturated or flooded with water either permanently or seasonally and are vital for human survival. That's very, very key. Wetlands are among the world's most productive environments, cradles of biological diversity that provide the water and productivity upon which countless of plants and animals depend on for survival. You can tell it is quite extensive. And here at the Sakmo Ramsar site, you can tell that is not the situation happening at the moment. Yes, this site normally receives heavy flood waters from the surrounding catchment area before entry into the sea. But at the moment, I understand the lagoon that it passes through before releasing into the sea. I understand that the lagoon is currently not operating at its full capacity because it's now a marshy area sort of, so the water has no way, it's totally dried up. So this morning we are here to monitor the situation, and I happen to have the assembly member for the Sakumono area, electoral area. He's in the person of Mr. Kwesipoku, who will come and brief us about the situation which is developing here at the Ramsar site. Thank you so much, sir. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. How are you, my brother?
So what can you tell us? What led us about the Ramsar site and what led to this enrichment?
Okay, my name is Kwesipoku Usumpim. I'm the immediate presiding member of Tema West Municipal Assembly. A brief history, I think Tema West was part of the main Tema Metropolis, and when in 2018 His Excellency carved some districts out and some municipalities out of the metro. And they had our own municipal area. Good. The convention, as you said, the government of Ghana signed the Ramsar Treaty, and this place originally the land was an acquisition area acquired by Kwame Nkrumah for TDC, and then TDC in its own wisdom as part for the MS estate. That's on the left here. There's an MS estate at the top here, and then ECG has the main substation also at the top here. That was all carved out by TDC. The reason for that I don't really know. And then on your right here, that TDC also carved out for golf course and celebrity. So there's a celebrity golf course. The TDC also carved out. So on your right, these people, they have the right of entry from TDC. On your left, that's where the ECG and the MS estate also have the right of entry. Area.
Why is that? Because I understand this is supposed to be a waterway. So,
you see, there's this allegations go flying all over the place, and the chiefs claim that the land was for them. They give it out to TDC. So if there's a change of user, you understand, then they have to really go back for it again. But when Sir John took over as the CEO for Forestry Commission, I happened to be the presiding member and sat in a meeting that Sir John made it clear that these lands are for the Forestry Commission. Forestry Commission paid adequate compensation. I saw documentation of that, which the chiefs agreed. And he said, but then they've encroached the top. So he came there and said they should hold on until a decision was taken on them. There was a parliamentary select committee that came, that I saw them. I sat in 2-3 of their meetings. But as and when the committees come and go, the chiefs keep on selling and selling and selling. And this is how far the chiefs and brothers.
The situation is really bad. Is it that they can't enforce the Forestry Commission can't enforce the laws or something?
My brother, my issue is this. It looks as if the Forestry Commission is becoming a dog. There's a Forestry Commission task force that is always patrolling here 24 hours. By 9 o'clock, you see them around. But the encroachments are coming. The issue is that these properties are not, it's not one day somebody can put huge properties like this. Yeah. So the question is, what was the Forestry Commission doing? Because I remember one time, TMA tried to enforce the law, and there was a court injunction restraining anybody from entering here. Yeah. And my then chief executive, Honorable Nila, was nearly imprisoned by one judge that there was this thing here. So I think we are all not helping. The chiefs totally no.
I remember back in the day there used to be some farmers here who I understand the wetlands was a conducive place for agricultural activities who used to stay in this area. Are they the ones whose buildings you are seeing currently at the moment, or these are for private entities altogether?
My brother, these are farmers cannot build this kind of structures. You look at the kind of huge mansions.
I see some huts and stuff.
What is happening is the agri department of the assembly were trying to this planting for food and jobs, and under the NDC Palm Scout program, all those ones said, okay, why would you not allow them to do some small farming here? Even the birds and other things will also feed on the vegetables. But as and when people are encroaching, then they will push the farmers. You understand? So for now, they've been pushed from the Kragon stretch to here. All what is left is what they are doing, the own young farmers that you can see around here.
So this is the developing story here at the Ramses site. You can tell how steep the encroachment has been for this wetland area. Elsewhere, such waterfronts, you see the buildings are quite, they are very expensive to get and all that, and they preserve them because we understand how vital wetlands are, because it's not just for water, it's for human life as well. If we replenish it, how will we survive? So this has been a report from the Sakmo Ramses site. Back to you, Kafwe, in the studios.
Thank you so much, Jay, giving us that report from that Ramses site. My gentleman in the studio, as part of your concluding remarks, just your brief remarks on whatever you've seen so far in the last 5-10 minutes.
It's unfortunate that the time has run out.
Yes.
There's one story that we should have dealt with it in terms of the statement made by my good friend and senior brother, the former president.
You support him?
I disagree with him because he's a statesman. I recall when the Order Be Die statement was made by our current president. He was condemned by everybody, even though he had reasons to say that. He ate his humble pie, and at one time he apologized for making that statement. Then comes a desperate and a frustrated former president who said he wanted to come back. And in fact, when you show us Dr. Biframamu and the music is being sung, I have sweat all over my body. But this is a beautiful country that we all love to stay in. And you could have a former president who could say that, do and die.
He said all.
Do and die.
He said do all.
We've all been to elections before.
Quote him well.
And I'm happy he's saying that he wants to be a police station in Bole on the day of elections. Elections are won. You have agents there. Before the ballot papers arrives at the police station, before it will be distributed all over the place, they check everything.
Okay.
Right from the printing and everything.
So
at the police station and everything, you see the records.
So you disagree with his comments?
So he's raising tension in this country.
You want him to eat humble pie?
He said he's not going to withdraw. He's saying we didn't go to school.
Okay.
So they are idioms. So maybe I didn't go to Kumasi Lego. So he understands.
Where is Kumasi?
Those of us who are in the trench, who understand. He's inciting NDC supporters against the Leather Commission and members of the MPP. That is exactly what my brother is saying. And when I see him one day, I said, look, you are my role model. You did not speak well.
All right.
And that is what I'm expecting. Fast forward, on the Ramses side.
Briefly, we're done. We're done.
You took a time.
No,
I took a time. You should have given us a
no, this is my time.
You should have given us a moratorium. You don't bring seasoned politicians like us that you come and give us a gagas that we should not talk on. Touch on the thing. Ramsa.
I'll give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
The regional minister has placed a ban on all activities in the Ramsar side. No matter if you recall, recently he went to around Klagon area where somebody has built in the waterway and he had smashed down. So clearly, I think that is a big exercise for the regional minister and assemblies themselves. The regional minister cannot come from his office.
So assemblies must be up.
So they should be proactive.
All right.
This might move.
Okay.
And make sure some of these things are not done.
I think I've made you happy now.
Somehow.
For your information, the regional minister is his brother.
He's my direct cousin.
Okay.
Action man.
So please talk to him.
He's aware.
Yes.
He's welcome.
From here, he'll go to the house.
Comments.
First and foremost, I think that we are. Let me touch on a few things. So we should not be studying idiomatic expressions in school any longer. And that because we are political leaders, we are stopped from using idiomatic expressions when clearly
this idiomatic expression is invited.
When
order be that, what did you say? What did you say? You went under Kufado.
Onupa.
So speak the truth. Don't change your mouth.
Onupa. Smonaka. Nken Smonaka.
When order be that?
As Nken Smonaka.
Your time is up. Your time is up.
He was doing something to me. You attack the president.
Bernard, you have 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I cannot have 30 seconds.
60 seconds. Let's go.
So obviously, the president explained. You didn't get the explanation.
No. This explanation is
explained.
Violence.
Can you let me talk? The president explained that happenings in 2020 will not allow us to go and sleep thinking that we have won elections.
Who's president?
President Mahama. And that they will stay
Is he president now? Qualify him well. Qualify him. He's not the president of this country.
Gentlemen, we're up. Our time is up.
No, he can't.
No, qualify him.
President Mahama, because I call President Kufuor, if you don't understand that President Kufuor was for a certain period, it is your cup of tea. But I call him President of Ghana, President Mahama. Yes, and so obviously, he spoke his mind and he's saying this. I personally thought that, look, communication.
You send his children to the front.
I personally think that
when it comes to
I personally think that
communication. He has three beautiful, nice.
You don't know the number of children he has.
They should be on the front line.
Don't count the number of children he has.
Do and die.
They are not three. They are more than three.
Please don't heckle. You should summon all of them.
So what I think is that political communication is important. And when you don't communicate to the understanding of your people, and you have to come and explain, then there is a worry. But it does not mean that what he said was wrong. I want to touch on a fantastic Ghanaian whose contributions cannot. You see what the church has done to us? The church has come to change almost everything of ours. To the extent that Ephraim could not wear his African dress to the church and was excommunicated from the church. The church came and took away our names and put their names on us. They took away our place of dignity and our rights, and decided to choose for us what would be fit for them. And Ephraim dared them, went to the church, wanted to preach and wore his traditional dress, and he was taken away. He stood by and he continued to wear his traditional dress. How many of us are willing to stand by what we believe in so that our nation can become better? And I'm excited that, look, what he did in Ewe has been translated in every language, including Dagare.
Sing it for
us. Atinga te tingbangula o ie na fakuti te sankumine teolati o inga zinenga achinta ting yeyitu bagbelongo. Continue.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I love the voice of Bernard Mona and the humming of Mr. Titus Glover. My guests for headlines, gentlemen. Thank you very much. We are, of course, I'm going to my colleague Alan, who is on the ground and has a very disturbing issue that he wants to bring to our attention. Alan, take it away, please.
They say that when iron enters by iron. Good morning and welcome to Mile 7 Coffee. That's a great conversation going on in the studio. I'm loving Bernard Mona already anyway. Good morning, Bernard. Well, we're still keeping an eye around town, and this morning it'll be interesting to know what we have been able to uncover as far as the rolling story on social media over the weekend was. My research team, a great thank you to them for a fantastic job done. Arriving here this morning, we arrived on the back of an alleged restaurants springing up under the Mile 7 overpass. We got here this morning and the story changed so quick. Interesting how that happened. First of all, I must point out, you recall a few weeks ago when we did the rubbish pile by the Achimota Bridge, where it was caught up between the boundary of two different assemblies. A similar thing has happened to this skate park. This is a skate park, and a simple Google search would reveal that under the bridge at the Mile 7 overpass, you have a recognized skate park. What was happening, or what happened over the weekend, was these young men who have certain platforms built on which they skate for all their gymnastics, decided to build a permanent structure for an existing makeshift or a temporary structure, and that is what generated this whole controversy. So if you look to my left, you have some of the platforms. You have some of the platforms sitting next to each other. You have the whole board, and then you have the half skate, which gives you a mid-air aerobic or acrobatic one, and then you have the one in between, which also gives you like a 10-foot skate, and then the one to which they were building the actual permanent structure is this very rollover platform. Now, from what our research team gathered, these young men got a permit. This site is between the Gan North Municipal Assembly and the Gan East Municipal Assembly. Now, there's a thin line between them, and so to my right is the Gan East, and then to my right is the Gan East, and to my left is the Gan North. Now, interesting how one issued a permit and the structure was mistakenly built on the turf where a permit has not been issued. And so this is the alleged restaurant they talked about. Sorry, I turn back to camera, I apologize, viewers. Now, this is the structure. If you look at what I was standing on, a similar thing, looking pretty much like if you go to a washing bay, the platform on which you leave your car so the under part of the car can be washed. This is exactly what they were putting up here. A permit was issued by one municipal assembly, and unfortunately the structure came up on the grounds of a different one. And so this rather became a controversy between two boundaries. These young men told me yesterday when I came here to meet them, they told me they have a permit. I dared them to show it. Unfortunately, their leader was not around to produce the permit. However, they have agreed they will be available to show their permit whenever we invite them to our studios at GTV. And speaking to food vendors, I asked a few vendors, how come if this were a restaurant, it has been pulled down, yet your your event station is still on site? They wholly admitted that none of them at the bridge has a permit to be here. And the municipal assemblies has issued notice to them to leave. But because they have nowhere to go immediately, they have decided to stay on. And the municipal assembly is only waiting to pounce on them one day, and that will be the end of them. A man who plies his trade under this bridge is Francis. He actually gave us a lot of information. He gave us a lot of information on this location. He is willing to speak to camera. So I'm going to bring Francis on. Francis will speak to me in Tree, and I'll ask him what he knew prior to this structure coming up and what happens after the structure has been demolished. Francis, join me. Francis, we're speaking to camera. Good morning, Francis.
Good morning.
Francis, tell me, this structure behind us, we're told it's a restaurant. What do you know about it?
But the minimum pound say when the hand say no. Boys been a tree a skate to her. But in our culture, no more could permit for Ganoff. It's our no more best Saturday, but sometimes move by evening time. It's in one of the generals for Peace FM called Odia Hinkai. It's not a charm, no, who's a boys and no 2 blocks. No, it's no like a professional journalist, almost a boys, a tree, a year when we are. I so say, and to know also one bisa yeah, you know, they go to Facebook now, or they are too air for PCFM. So, boys, you know, I see restaurants or the container babasis. But it's not like that. But I skate no muchiwa ha. Amukuta mu permit no mu bibia.
So that's Francis speaking to us about what happened here or what used to be here. Now I ask a simple question. It's been pulled down under a misconception or a misrepresentation. What do we do after the pull down? And what happens to the rubble? Even if these young men are going to be allowed to rebuild, how long will that take? When is the issue or the controversy going to be resolved? And if it will be resolved, when do they intend to move the rubble away? Because this will attract rubbish from neighboring members of the community. It is very typical of us, but that is what is happening. This is Keep an Eye at #GTV Breakfast. Back to you in the studio, Kafui.
Alan, don't try any skating before you come back home. Thank you. So
I will never even dare myself to do so.
Thank you so much. That's our man on the ground at mile 7, giving us the rundown on that structure that we saw. If you saw on Facebook and on social media over the weekend, that was what was happening. Just to let you know, as I wrap up, that your comments are coming in. We'll read a lot of them. There's a big meeting today, GFA, to decide CK Akono's fate. At a meeting today, a crunch meeting today. Will they sack him or will they retain him? You'll get more information when the news comes through. Quick messages, 555561034 before our next conversation. The Honorable Titus is always on time. You need to commend him. Says Ofori AJ. Well, okay, thank you very much for that. There's another message here that I want to share with you. I'm still applauding you guys at GTV Breakfast for the great social engineering on the face of breakfast show. I love the term, social engineering. Bernard Mona, looking extremely great in his red beret. Love his gentility. So that's Ajwa Henkel with props for Mr. Mona. And finally, the Ghana police should be manned by serious policemen and women who actually know their job. It's not a child's play matter. All right, great stuff. My name is Kafui, and still to come, a conversation on prenatal and postnatal nutrition. All your messages on 055-556-1034. And ahead of that, what at all is the role of governing boards and councils in the public service? I wish I could bite this story, but Thelma has the jaws and the teeth to do exactly this. And she comes up right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Breakfast. Sizzling helping. And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votras, yeah? At that time of the morning.
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast?
On-site restaurant.
Or room service.
We've got you covered. From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast. Sizzling helping. And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votras, yeah? At that time of the morning.
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast?
On-site restaurant.
Or room service.
We've got you covered. From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast. Sizzling helping. And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votras, yeah? At that time of the morning.
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast?
On-site restaurant.
Or room service.
We've got you covered. From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast. Sizzling helping. And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votras, yeah? At that time of the morning.
Yes, like I said, we are having this sit down about the Public Services Commission. And what comes to mind when you think about that commission? And subsequently, when you hear about inauguration of boards and councils for public entities, another avenue for maybe political elites to find jobs for members of their family. And what has been your perception about governing boards and councils? Do they only come, sit and talk and then take big per diem checks and go away? Well, today we'll have that whole perception changed, or perhaps better oriented. And who better to do that than the chairperson of the Public Services Commission, Dr. Janet Ampedu-Fofie. And she will explain to us the whole mandate of the Public Services Commission and the role of the various boards and councils being inaugurated in public service institutions. Dr. Fofie, good morning and welcome to GTV Breakfast.
Good morning.
We've heard of the Public Services Commission and the perceptions out there that people have about the commission. It's not usually a good one. Have you found that to be the case since you took over as chairperson?
Thank you very much, and let me use this opportunity to thank the GBC for giving the Public Services Commission this opportunity to share a few thoughts and maybe try to correct some of the misconceptions about who we are. Let me begin by setting the legal framework. The Public Services Commission is actually a constitutional body, and if you go to Article 190 of our Constitution, it talks about the public services generally. There's a long list. At the time the Constitution was put together, there were about maybe 20 public service organizations. To date, we now have close to 250 almost of public service organizations. One misconception generally is people seem to think that when you talk about the civil service, that's it. The civil service, if I can point out, is actually one of the services who come under the Public Services Commission. Included in this list, you find the police service, and I heard you mention the police service. Somebody made a comment about the police and so on. It is a service. You have the fire service, you have the local government service, you have the Ghana Health Service, you've got the education service. These are all part of what I call the architecture of the public services of Ghana. And it's a huge one. Now, where does the Public Services Commission come in? That same chapter 14 of the Constitution again talks about the Public Services Commission as the body mandated to really come up with the processes, come up with the legal framework, come up with the guidelines and systems affecting the management of people within the public services. So our core function really is to do with the human resource management and making sure that indeed we've got good systems, we've got good regulations, we've got good guidelines guiding everybody within the public services. It's a relatively quiet commission. We don't do our work so much in the open, so people may not know who we are and exactly what we do. But when it comes to, for example, appointment of public officers, all the rules and regulations have to be based on what the Public Services Commission has put out there. When things are not going right and we feel that there are misconceptions. For example, recently we find people going and claiming that there are recruitment going on, fraudulent stuff being put in the newspapers and Ghanaians are being taken. The Commission's responsibility is very, very quickly to come out and debunk some of those things so that the public generally will be protected. Our biggest, more or less, we work as a service. We don't work for ourselves. We work for the public. And so the best interest of the public is really what we are about. And everything we do is to make sure that the men and women who are brought into the service, the men and women who work in the service, know what their roles and responsibilities are. They know what's expected of them. They know what the downside is if they go off. As part of what we do, it's actually looking at the size of the public services, the numbers, the men and women who are in it, and to make sure that every organization has the requisite number of people to ensure that the work gets done. We have to make sure that the rules are also available for them so that they know exactly how to go about doing their work for the best interest of the general public. We try, or at least we are not supposed to be political. I think in recent times the perception is public officers have become politicized. We are not supposed to be political in our outlook. We are there to serve every Ghanaian in terms of the delivery of services.
You've made the point that you're basically in charge of the HR function of public service. So can I infer that you are the ones in charge of recruitment into the public service? So all jobs that will be advertised, for example, in all the services that you've mentioned, will have somehow gone through your commission?
Not exactly. And I think as a regulatory, when you look at the Constitution, it says our work is regulatory, supervisory, consultative, and advisory. These are the four key words for us in terms of what we are required to do as a commission. And when we are talking about regulation, we are not implementers in the first instance. Our job is to make sure that there are enough rules and regulations that people know about them, people abide by them, the organizations abide by them. So in essence, you talked about recruitment. The Public Services Commission is responsible for making sure that indeed when we are recruiting, the right processes are done.
So you're not responsible for example, recruitment into the police service or the military service or the civil service or any of the services that you've mentioned?
We do not do the direct recruitment. However, because we put out the rules and regulations guiding the public services, the commission has to be in attendance to any of these exercises going on. The organizations have to look at what the guidelines that we put out there in terms of how it's to be conducted. So, for example, when the advertisements are put out, some organizations will come to us for us to look at it. Does it look kind of right? After the applications come in, the commission is brought in to look at the shortlisting. How many of these people are qualified as per the ad that you put out? And so we do not do the actual recruitment, but we are an integral part of the process.
So where from the perception, if you have such an oversight responsibility, that whom you know comes to play when it comes to getting jobs in public service or even in the civil service specifically, and the security services as well?
The security services are put to the side because, again,
they have their own procedures.
Although they have to look at the general guidelines that we put out there, they are one of the services that come under this constitutional provision that I referred to earlier. But because of their nature, they have a lot of leeway in terms of how they do the recruitment. We expect that they will still be keeping an eye on the regulations that we've put out. So let me come to your regular, and in terms of recruiting into the public services, indeed, there are different levels. So let me quickly share the different levels and who's responsible for what. We have what we call the category A and B appointments. And these are directly impacted on by Constitutional Provision 195, which says the president appoints. The president, in essence, appoints every public officer. I mean, that's how broad this is.
So category A and B, specifically what kind of positions
within that category A and B positions, we've got our CEOs, we've got our deputy CEOs, and we've got our directors. All of these appointments are done directly by the Public Services Commission. So in essence, an organization, and let me quickly maybe pull out the importance of 195. It says the president appoints on the advice of the governing board, and hence our conversation here on the governing boards and why they're important to us, in consultation with the Public Services Commission. And that's the rendition of the constitutional provision, which means the organizations are going to be doing the advising to the appointing authority, i.e. The president. And once all that is done, the Public Services Commission has to more or less sift and validate and make sure that the people that we're bringing into these positions have what it takes. They have the requisite qualifications and experience. So the interviews are done at our level. All the category A and B positions, the interviews are held at the Public Services Commission. The appointment letters are issued by the Public Services Commission. And one may ask, so, I mean, the fact that the president has said this person or that person.
Can you say no to an appointment?
Indirectly, we can and we have, because we have been able, and the process, the vetting is done by us. So, and I've been with the commission for, since 2004. So I've seen this happen really under the last 4 or so presidents, where the president sends a name down, the governing board has approved, everybody's okay, but they bring it down and we kind of go through the process and we're like, not so sure. We've actually gone back to the appointing authority and with stated reasons
why they did not
the report will be very, very clear as to why this person or that person may not be the best person for this position, because, and I've heard, I don't think this person can get the job done. And to the credit of the appointing authorities, they do listen. And so these people may not be confirmed. Now, whether they get out of office is not our remit, but we will be able to say, we've gone through the process, we've vetted this individual, and the gaps are here. We see the experience level is low. We see that they do not understand the public services and really what this role is. And we give that to the appointing authority. And
the advice has always been taken.
When we've actually been able to make the case, in my experience, it's been listened to. And these people, they're people who have been withdrawn because they don't have what it takes to get the job done. But as a public officer, we have to work with the politicians. We have to understand what the politicians want. Our jobs as public officers really is to know what they want, know what the rules and regulations are, and be able to advise them that indeed, given the rules that we have, given the processes that we have, this is the advice. And if we're able to do that and it's sound, our political bosses often listen to us. So the charge is on us to actually make sure that we're not just going based on some flimsy excuse, but it's well thought through, and it's very much on point that we cannot maybe continue, or at least with the process, we cannot confirm this person.
I'd like to know how you're able to maintain the veil between public service and politics as a commission. But I'd like to explore the other categories of jobs that you started mentioning. You've talked about categories A and B, and which other categories are there?
We have the C and D, and these are the deputy directors below the directors and below. So in essence, from your drivers up to the deputy director level. These appointments are not held at the Public Services Commission. The rules apply to them just as much as the rules on the categories A and B. However, the appointments and the processes are done by the organizations. The role of the Public Services Commission, however, is to make sure that at that level, that they're adhering to these rules and regulations that we've put out. And the way we do that is often issue what we call circulars on the rules and the guidelines as what needs to be done. But for these interviews and for the interviews for the categories C and below, the commission has to be at all these interactions to make sure that, again, the rules are being complied with. And where we see things being done not in accordance with the rule, be able to point out. This is our way of making sure that everybody understands what the rules are. There's fairness, there's equity. We're treating everybody fairly, and we're giving everybody who applies an opportunity to get a job that's available.
But the perception still persists, good doctor, that there is no fairness in the recruitment process. There is certainly a perception that if you do not know anybody in political circles or somebody whose name opens doors, you will not get a job in the public service.
I think I would agree up to a point with that. That perception, and perception sometimes maybe is 9/10 of reality. So it's something that we take seriously, and that's the reason why the commission endeavors to be at every session, interview assessment session.
And you get complaints where people come to you and tell you, I was at this interview, I feel that I was very, very qualified and have not been treated fairly. And how do you handle complaints of such nature?
when the complaints have come, and we get the complaints from a myriad of quarters, sometimes it's from the applicants themselves, and part of, if you look at the mandate of the Commission, we have a right to get any document that we need in terms of getting our job done. So we have what the laws call the subpoena powers in this area. And we can summon anybody to come before us and explain. And we've done that many times. So we've actually summoned organizations to come, and then we do the more or less investigations. Part of what we do also, whilst we're on this investigation matter, the Commission also as in the areas of human resource management, as really an appellate division. When people are aggrieved, we are, in fact, if you go to the courts are going to ask you, have you been to the Commission? One, have you taken this matter to your organization? Have they had the opportunity to look at it? And once they've done that, have you appealed to the Public Services Commission? If you haven't, more than likely they'll tell you to go back.
Okay. Let's shift the conversation, because we don't have a lot of time, to the appointment of boards and councils for public entities. How exactly is that done, and why do we have so many of these public entities not playing by the rules? SIGA has been here and they've told their side of the story. But if you're also a referee in this venture, why are we seeing what we are seeing?
Let me start by again looking at the legal underpinnings of governing boards and councils and how they come into being. There are constitutional provisions which direct who actually is in the process of appointing them. If you go to Article 70, for example, it talks about the appointments are done by the President on the advice of the Council of State. And these are the two players. So in the appointment itself, the Commission has nothing. And see, we may advise, and we don't even come into the appointment of governing boards and councils. However, I mentioned Article 195, which is the appointing of instrument.
For categories A and B.
Yes, for everybody, actually. 195 applies to every appointment to the public services. Now, 195 has a function for the governing boards and councils because they advise the appointing authority, i.e. the President. And therefore, they're appointing people. The PSC has the role to look at the HR, and the rules and regulations are coming from us, and hence the interface between us and them. Now, once the boards have been appointed, however, and we come in very quickly, and indeed the workshop that we are having within the next on Wednesday is just to ensure that people who have been appointed really understand the roles and responsibilities of this position that they may have said yes to. What is it that's expected of them? Do they understand the public services of which they are now part of? The governing boards and councils have a major role, and that's really coming up with the strategic direction for the organizations.
How many of them would you say we have in existence currently?
The process is still ongoing. As of now, my understanding is we've got about 30 or so fully inaugurated. I think they're still in the process, and we're hoping to see definitely within the next month or so that all the boards will be up and running. But what we need to do is, before they even assume their positions, we need to give them some guidelines, we need to give them some direction as to what we expect from them, how the Commission will be able to work with them to help make sure that they achieve their mandates. And so we do not appoint them, but I think in the course of their work, we come in. You have to agree with me that if you give somebody an assignment and you don't tell them exactly what the assignment is, you're probably not going to get the results that you're looking for. So the orientation for us is very important. Up until this point, and indeed this is the first time that the Commission is ambitious, but trying to deal with all the governing boards and councils. Up until this point, we've been approached on a one-by-one basis, where organizations will come to us and we take them through what is the public services, what is your role here, what's acceptable, what roles, what conduct is expected of you, and things like the ethics of the position that you've done. We don't want our boards behaving like management.
And I've been told that to further that particular cause, you run background checks on persons who are assuming certain positions to make sure that they are fit for the role?
Again, that's on the appointment side of the management, on the CEOs and the like. We run, and I think we've worked with the security agencies where a check is done. The applications are, the CVs are looked at critically, where there are questions they have to come and maybe explain. But we also work with the security agencies to run them through. But I think with the appointment process itself, let me quickly add, I know that the executive branch also, before they put anybody in, runs a series of checks on them. That's not our mandate. Our mandate is actually to check these people out to make sure that they have the skills and competencies required to do this job and get a job well done.
And before I interrupted, you were talking about making sure that the boards are separate from management. There's been issues of conflict between boards and management of public institutions, public services institutions. How have you managed to settle some of these things, and has it affected the performance of these entities?
Indeed, conflict is part of who we are. You know, when you've got an organization that's being manned by people, a conflict you have to expect. But I think what we have done and what we've seen is when the roles are not clearly defined, when boards do not have a very good understanding as to what is expected of them. In the past, we've seen board members trying to act like the management. That's a different role for, as I said, the board's main task is strategic. To come up with a strategic plan to make sure that the plans are being implemented faithfully by the management, led by the CEO. The board cannot do the functions of the CEO. The CEO's implementation and operations. The board is strategic. And so long as we can keep within these two spheres, then we may see few conflicts. But as human as we are, sometimes you find board chairs who probably want to be doing too much of the management side, which creates a lot of conflict. You may have CEOs with very, very tall, big egos who seem to think that, you know, they are it. And so the commission in the past has actually been drawn in. When things are going bad, when there's malfunctioning of these two bodies, at the end of the day, the productivity that's expected from all of us as public service organizations will not happen. And the commission, given our role and given our mandate, has been able to call these parties in, hear everybody out, and be able to lay the rules down very, very clearly that indeed, board chair, this one you can't do.
And when it comes to boards specifically, we wonder what's the criteria for selecting people to be on the board? Because we've seen persons, for example, belonging to one field being appointed to chair boards of entities where they have not trained or have little specialization in. How does that come about?
Remember, I started by saying the work of the governing board is really strategic. So I don't have to know too much about the details of an organization to be able to help. For example, I have a legal background. That legal background on a board is probably more important than the person who understands the organization and the nitty-gritty of how the organization works. I have a finance background. Again, I should be able to help the board generally make sure that the fiduciary duties of the board are being met. So it does not have to be people who have expertise in a particular discipline necessarily to be effective. For a board to be effective, you need all these hands. It's like the fingers. You know, some are short, some are tall, some are fat. But if you put it all together, then hopefully the power can be derived. And so I think most of us seem to think, actually, for some of us, and I sometimes wonder, when you've got a board which is being led by somebody with too much expertise, you run the risk of the board chair or members of the board trying to act in the role of management, which we don't want to do. So the board functions should not cross over and have them coming in, having officers, having a whole full big secretariat, and acting as if they're the implementers, acting as if they are the managers. They are not. They need to remain strategic. They need to focus on the planning, and once they've done that, a good board also ought to focus on looking at the implementation and how well it's going. So they need to be able to do the monitoring and evaluation. They need to ensure that they're getting the necessary reports to tell them how the organizations are doing. And I think there's plenty on that side for boards to do, rather than to come into the other side where they want to be CEOs.
I'm looking at some of the material that we received ahead of this, and there's a section here, why corporate governance, and there's a point that says improved quality of service. So the end game in all this is to ensure that the public gets quality service, and that the entities can also account for their stewardship as has been entrusted to them. We don't see that, and especially with the Auditor General's report that was recently released. Whose duty is it to ensure that these documents, these reports that the public entities are supposed to file at a certain time is done? Because the Auditor General says...
Yes, and indeed it's actually the governing board. So that's why, in my opinion, the governing board has plenty to do. They need to stay on their side of this conversation and make sure that they hold the CEOs accountable. The board chair is not the one who's going to make sure that the reports are done, but they need to ensure that the reports are being submitted as they should be submitted. What we're doing with this orientation is bringing in all the people, all the players that we think every board member ought to know about. And hopefully, if we're able to, for example, we have the Director General from the Internal Audit Agency coming in to let the board members know exactly what is expected of them. We have PPA, Public Procurement Authority, coming in. Public Financial Management is where a lot of these infractions with the audit service comes in. And so I think we also have somebody from the Public Financial Management Secretariat, which is under the Ministry of Finance, coming in to help us. We have somebody coming from SHRAJ, because we think the conduct part, the conduct and behavior part also need to be hyped a little bit. Conflict of interest. These are the people who, in our system and by the Constitution, are charged with putting the rules together. And we think that let them come in and take this group through some of these critical points. If we can do that at the beginning, not only will they have a very, very broad, good overview of what's expected of them, but we also hope that it will at least tell them, if you have questions in these areas, these are the people that you need to go to. Invite them. And I know that most of the people in the public services will only be too happy to come and deepen the understanding of these governing boards, so that some of these infractions, frankly, when you see the reports, some of us believe that it's because people do not know. The boards are not sufficiently knowledgeable.
And what steps are you taking to rectify that? That's why you're doing this program on Wednesday.
It's training. And as often as we can, coming back to this target group, and more or less, a lot of the people who are on boards have been on boards. Some have been on boards in the private sector. They understand governance, they understand how it works on the other side. Some have been in the public services, but it doesn't hurt for us to keep reminding ourselves as to what's important. And indeed, this orientation is just doing that. We are not assuming that they do not know. When it's not a classroom. PSC, we are practitioners. We don't do theory too much. But I think a refresher for all of us is good.
When is this, and what times are we looking at?
It's going to be the first in a series, and because the boards are now coming in, we start on Wednesday, and it will be for two days. Currently, we have about maybe 300 of these governing boards and members in attendance, and then within another 2-3 weeks, we will be able to bring another set, and we hope to continue doing this until every board, everybody appointed to be a member of a board in the public services has been exposed somewhat to the expectations.
So a few comments here. Good morning. It's a great feeling listening to you and Dr. Janet on some issues, but I'm sad Dr. Janet couldn't justify the issue of to whom you know. Today university certificates are sleeping under our beds just because after school, if you don't know anyone at the top or you don't have 9,000 Ghana cedis, there is no job for you at the government sector till your uncle or father becomes an MP or DCE. So I'm trying, and if, well, I'm not going to. So copy from Tichiman, you sent us that message. This one is, yes, a social media. I'm not going to touch that at all. Here's another one. Good morning. Ghanaians are too skeptical about politicians, and it's because of some of these things. How do you respond to some of these messages before I'll give you a few seconds to wrap up the conversation. The whom you know thing is still very,
I
very...
think in the minds of people, it's a problem, and it's one of those perceptions that I think as a commission, we have to try and maybe be more vigilant in terms of the rules, because you cannot bring the who you know, and I've seen where the who you know comes in, they apply. You have to go through the processes. The civil service, for example, recruits. There's a process for that. And normally when they open these, number one, you know, we don't have that many vacancies. So there's the limitations.
Okay, so how many boards, councils and boards do we have currently? I asked before, and you said about 30 have been inaugurated.
Yes.
But how many do we have in effect?
Every public service organization, and we are now approaching 250 plus public service organizations.
And so
if you look at the legal instruments, the board is indicated. So really, when everything is done, we should have upwards of 250 plus.
So how then do we say, for example, that there are no vacancies to fill? There's at least 250 boards up for grabs, and it goes to persons who perception are linked to people in power.
Yes, Thelma, I think I told you that when it comes to the appointment onto governing boards, that's not the remit of the Public Services Commission, right. So I will not take something that I don't have legal backing for.
Here's someone that says, how many people go on retirement a day? Daniel Eduji from Media. Thank you for sending us. But the good doctor is here to talk about the PSC and what it offers. What would be your final comment, even as you head into this series of trainings, the first one starting Wednesday? And what would you want the public to know you are doing to make sure that there's improved quality of service that they receive?
I think, thank you very much, and I can appreciate the concerns of the general public. I think public officers do not have sometimes very, very good reputations. Let me salute the public officers out there though, because they're doing a fantastic job, most of them. We've got a few bad apples, and I think...
Because people actually demand money to offer jobs.
And indeed, if we come across those, the commission will look into that, and where people are, infringing on the code of conduct does not allow us to take money for our services. We're being paid by the government.
So where can people report complaints if they find that?
The Public Services Commission is located in Accra. We are opposite the Ministry of Finance, and if you get into the Ministry of Finance enclave and you ask for the Public Services Commission, anybody can walk into the building, into the Public Services Commission, and lodge a complaint. We are a service, and we exist because of the public. And indeed, my office is open.
Final comments. Yeah, your office is open?
It's open, and you'll be amazed on a regular day. The people who come in, I don't necessarily stand on ceremony where you have to have an appointment. Walk in. If I'm there and you catch me, we'll talk. And sometimes I learn from people and some of these things. And if it comes to our attention, we do something about it. People have actually been sanctioned, and sanctioned severely. People have lost their jobs. But we cannot do a certain where we are. We need the support of the public so that when some of these things arise, we are made to know, and we together. We've had public officers trying to do the extortion, and actually it's a crime. It's fraud. And if you go ahead and you pay, why are you paying 900 when there's a process set up?
9,000 to 15,000.
It shouldn't be. And indeed, they do not come to us. They go and pay, And when it doesn't work out, and there are a lot of fraudsters, let me take this opportunity to actually warn the general public.
A quick one, yeah.
I think there's a lot of fraud because we do not have that many vacancies, and there's so many people who have actually come out looking for jobs. We are desperate and will do anything. Please, public service organizations do not take money to recruit. If anybody comes to you and says the PSC is recruiting, pay a PESWA, report them to the police. Very important. This week we ended up actually going and putting out a disclaimer just for this. We saw somebody and they had directed it. If you looked at the ad that was put out, any serious person probably would have realized that this is fraudulent. And as soon as it came to our notice, we had to put a disclaimer out there for people to be very, very careful. Do not pay to anybody who's recruiting. Public service organizations, there are fees that are collected. For example, when you go to the police service, there's a fee that they collect to process the applications. That is different from somebody coming. Normally it's around, the maximum I've heard is about 300 for the processing. And there's no guarantee that if you go and pay that 9,000, you're going to get the job anyway. So please, do not be taken. And this is, if for nothing else, I hope the public is careful. When the Public Services Commission is recruiting, we either advertise in the dailies, we put it at our website. Do not be taken by anybody coming to you to say the Public Services is recruiting. We do not recruit for the services generally.
You recruit for Bank of Ghana as well?
We do not.
Okay.
We do not. We do not recruit for, I think the popular ones are Bank of Ghana, Cocoa Board.
SNIT?
SNIT, we do not recruit for SNIT.
GBC?
GBC, we do not recruit for. As I said, the recruitment is done at the organizational level.
And yours is the regulatory supervisory.
Just to make sure that they're doing it within the regimes that we all have agreed to.
Dr. Fofe, Dela from Ho says to tell you to investigate the health ministry. I don't know the basis for his claim, but that's just for you to take home.
Maybe whisper something into my ear.
He's watching us now.
Happy to take that one up.
All right. So we've been talking about the Public Services Commission. Dr. Fofe, thank you so much. Dr. Mrs. Janet Pedu Fofe is the chairperson of the Public Services Commission. Doc, thank you so much for sharing a part of your morning with us and for answering our questions. Very welcome. And so you know what to do. Do not allow yourself to be taken advantage of with all these scams going around in the name of recruitment purportedly from institutions and the Public Services Commission. Definitely verify the sources of your information before you take an action. Certainly do not pay any monies to anyone asking you to do so. And boards, councils, management, separate roles, and the Public Services Commission ensuring that everybody plays to their rules as is specified for where they occupy, and that's what they intend to do to improve the quality of service that you and I receive as Ghanaians from the public services. Thanks to the good doctor for having this conversation with us, and we will be looking at what you should and should not eat before and after pregnancy, and CAF will sit down with the panel to have that chinwag, and we'll be back right after this break with that convo. Stay with us.
Serve buffet style complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service.
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast
on GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning, and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast, sizzling helping.
A la carte.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasie at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service.
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast
on GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning, and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast, sizzling helping.
A la carte.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasie at that time of the morning.
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service?
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast
on GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast, sizzling helping.
A la carte.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service?
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast
on GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast, sizzling helping.
A la carte.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service?
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast
on GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast, sizzling helping.
A la carte.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service?
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast
on GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast, sizzling helping.
A la carte.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service?
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. with a trusted team. So never skip breakfast
on GTV Breakfast.
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning! Good morning!
Good morning!
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast. Not just any breakfast, sizzling helping.
A la carte.
And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast. So what's your pleasure than Votrasia at that time of the morning?
You want it served buffet style, complimentary breakfast,
on-site restaurant,
or room service?
We've got you covered from Monday to Friday.
Watching GTV Breakfast, and just before we came on, I was thinking about that song. Kwame, who sang that song? Let me know, okay? 055-556-1034. People are saying Itimeza. Some might also say King Bruce. I don't know, but let me know. All right? Okay, good. Before we talk about food, with respect to unborn babies and when the babies also come to the world, what mommy should be eating, there's a press release from the Ghana Police Service dated 12th September 2021, yesterday. I want to read it out to you. Police arrest Reverend Isaac Owusu-Bempah and 3 others for attacking police officers at his church premises. The head pastor of the Glorious Word Power Ministries International, Reverend Isaac Owusu-Bempah, and 3 others have been arrested. The other 3 suspects are Michael Boateng, Frederick Ohene, and Nathaniel Ajekum. 2 other suspects are on the run and the police are pursuing them. The suspects are being detained for further investigations over the creation and circulation of multiple videos containing threats, the brandishing of a weapon, and the assault of some police personnel. After critically analyzing the said videos and based on intelligence gathered, the police embarked on an operation on Sunday, September 12, 2021, at the premises of the church to arrest the suspects. During the operation, some members of the church believed to have been under the direction of Reverend Bempah assaulted some police officers. The injured personnel have received medical treatment and are responding to treatment. The suspects are currently in custody and will appear before court on Monday, September 13th, 2021. The police strongly cautions the public against any acts that will disturb the peace of the country. We wish to give the assurance that impartial investigations shall continue in this matter and the public will be duly updated. Signed, Kwesi Ofori, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Acting Director General, Public Affairs. So that's the trending news. Hot trend. It's #1 on Twitter, ahead of all the footballers and even Shatta. Shatta has been displaced. This is a hotter story than Shatta. So that's what's happening. We'll give you more information when it comes through. But let's now talk about food, all right? So we're looking at what to eat and what not to eat before, during, and after pregnancy. Why is it important? What kind of nutrition should you be thinking about for optimal growth and healthy outcomes, not just for baby, but for mommy as well? My guest is a dietitian, and her name is Nestina Idofu from NutriD Wellness. Nestina, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
What are some of the myths surrounding what mommy should be eating or not eating before, during, and after pregnancy?
So let's say, usually in our areas, like in Africa, most often the feeling is that when people are pregnant, they are become two people. So the mother and then the fetus, and the presumption is that they have to eat more, as if they are eating for two, and that is really not the case, and that encourages a lot of women to become to gain excessive weight during pregnancy and become overweight after. Then the challenge is continues, because evidence shows that when people become overweight, like excessively gain weight during pregnancy, it's okay for pregnant women to gain weight. It's normal, they shouldn't lose weight. But if the weight gain is more than it should, after delivery they build on some weight, and then subsequent pregnancies they keep on building on that weight, and then that is the genesis of obesity that is presumed to be related to giving birth. So people who have given birth to two or more are assumed to, it's assumed that it's okay for them to be overweight in our environment, but that shouldn't be the case if weight gain during pregnancy is within normal ranges. Yeah.
Is that the biggest myth about pregnancy? Eat for two, eat for two.
Eat for two, exactly. Eat for two. So that really isn't true, and I'm sure during our discussions we'll see what to do about that.
Indeed. So in terms of what mommy puts into her mouth, or potential mommy, how do you prepare for pregnancy from the diet side of things? Okay,
so pregnancy itself, when the person gets pregnant, can be a fun time. It's also a challenging time. So you shouldn't plan to be on a special diet in quotes. The idea is to have healthy eating plan. So before you get pregnant, you plan on eating well. The baby that is going to be formed is being formed from the food you are eating. So protein from the fish, chicken, beans, and other things you'll be eating. Carbohydrate that you are eating being converted to energy for you and your baby. Vegetables, vitamin and minerals from the fruits and vegetables you are taking. Fats, so body cell walls within our body all need fats. Hormones need fats. So you need to be eating a very balanced diet, and then that ensures that your body is well prepared. You have laid down the nutrition foundations that's going to build a baby. So I think basically before pregnancy, that's what you should look out for. There is a mineral, a vitamin called folic acid, a nutrient called folic acid, and the folic acid is really essential for pregnancy. So before you get pregnant, during the planning stages, it's ideal at least you take folic acid supplements, because
before sex or what?
No, before. So when, let's say, you are ready, you feel like I want to start having children.
Then I should load up on folic acid.
Yeah. So it's just a small women a small tablet of folic acid. You can talk to your doctor about it to be sure of your dose, and you take one a day, and that prepares you for pregnancy. It helps to prevent the baby who will be born later from developing a condition called neural tube defects.
What does that mean?
So it's a deformity that can happen related to the spinal cord. So you do not want children to have that. So you want to start taking your folic acid before pregnancy, and it continues after pregnancy. But aside that, with healthy eating adequate portions of carbohydrates, whole carbohydrate, that's cereal that is not sieved, or tubers or plantains, they are okay. A lot of vegetables on your plate, equal proportions to your carbohydrates on your plate.
So like if you are eating kinky like this should be the same amount of vegetables.
Exactly. So assuming you're looking at your plate, the portion of your plate that your carbohydrate has filled, you fill it with an equal portion of vegetables. So let's say it shouldn't be a big bowl of rice, then there's more tomato sauce on it. It should balance out. So when you're eating like that, adequate protein means at least as much as a palm size of fish, or chicken, lean chicken without the skin, or lean meat, or beans.
What is a lean meat?
So lean meat, meat that has the fatty streaks taken off. So we are taking meat without the fat. And that's fine. Or beans or other legumes. So if you eat well like that, you are already prepared for getting pregnant.
Just before we even continue, are there any foods that a woman can eat that can make her more likely to get pregnant?
Oh, so there are specific nutrients that are known to enhance fertility.
For real?
But like I said, if you're eating well, food intake shouldn't be a chore. You shouldn't be, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, it makes it difficult and it makes life uneasy. But as long as you are eating a variety of foods, and when it comes to fruits and vegetables, we see that they have different colors. So you are looking at the different colors, making sure you are not eating only green vegetables. There are some green vegetables, you have orange vegetables, you have all the colors that you can find, red vegetables. So when you eat like that, you are assured that at the end of the day, you have gotten all the essential nutrients you need, and you are not missing out.
You should think of the Ghana flag, some red vegetables, some yellow, some greens.
Exactly.
If you send your questions about food, what you should be eating before, during, or after pregnancy to 055-556-1034, and Nestina, who is a registered principal dietitian, will answer all your questions. Now, what are some of the food safety issues connected with pregnancy?
So food safety is very important, and especially important in pregnancy, because some of the infections that people can get and recover easily when pregnant people get may mean it can affect the fetus, or it can even cause abortion. So the first thing is regular washing of hands. I think because of COVID, people are now very much aware of washing hands, and that is very important. And so especially if you are pregnant and you handle foods, raw foods like raw chicken, raw fish, raw eggs, you should make sure that you wash your hands very well after, so that you do not contaminate yourself, you don't contaminate your hands, and then perhaps you move on to work on vegetables. It's the raw food you're coming to eat, and you send infections. So that's the first thing. Aside that, there are some foods that are very likely to get contaminated. Eggs are one of them. So it's important that pregnant women do not take fresh eggs. If you want to do any food recipe that requires the use of fresh eggs, like some ice creams use fresh eggs, or some yolk cakes require fresh eggs, you should use pasteurized eggs. So those ones have been slightly heated, not to make it cooked, but to kill infection. So that's very important. And then
go over that again. So fresh eggs. So, raw eggs?
Raw eggs, that's what I mean. Raw eggs could be contaminated with salmonella and a bacterial infection that can harm the baby. So it's very important that when you handle raw eggs, you wash your hands after. And if you are preparing any recipe, like any food that requires the use of raw eggs that will not be cooked after, then the eggs you are using should be pasteurized. And it's difficult to get pasteurized eggs in Ghana, but it's easy to do it yourself. So you can look up the process online, YouTube and everything, and pasteurize your eggs before you use for ice cream or anything.
Okay.
Otherwise, get your hard-boiled eggs and you are okay to go.
Okay.
Also, when you work with chicken, it also should be very well cooked. If you are buying food from outside, you should make sure that it is reheated to the core so that you are not getting infection from outside, and I think that should be okay. Other food safety issues you should be concerned about is heavy metal contamination.
What was that?
So metals like mercury can be found in deep sea, like coming from contamination from the land. Water washes these chemicals into water bodies and it ends up in the ocean. So usually we say that fishes that are picked from deep seas like shark, and you know shark is what is used for kakao, even tuna, can be very highly contaminated with mercury. So the advice now everywhere else is that pregnant women can have fish, but these heavy deep sea fishes, you should be careful how much you are taking in a week.
So they should go easy on the taco and the tuna.
Yes. So tuna you can have, but you can limit it to twice in a week, not tuna every day. So that's something else they have to watch out.
Okay. So messages 055-556-1034. I don't know whether this would fall under your remit. What causes high rates of protein in urine? Somebody's asking a question like that. And then somebody is also saying, good morning, I'm gradually losing weight after delivery. I now weigh 46, that's kilos. What did you weigh before? We need to know. So Akosia is probably getting ahead of us, but we'll get there pretty soon. So we'll answer those questions for you as well. And yeah, so losing weight. I mean, you've talked about gaining weight, but what would make somebody lose weight after pregnancy?
Okay, so it's normal to lose weight after pregnancy, but like you said, what is her pregnancy delivery weight, and that will let us know whether 40 the value you mentioned is normal or not. But ideally during pregnancy we store a little bit of fat, and that fat is meant to be burned as a source of energy during lactation. So as you breastfeed, you lose some weight. It is normal. So it's okay to lose weight after pregnancy unless your current weight is, maybe let's say you are underweight and you are still losing weight, then you have to do something about it. So as long as you are eating a healthy meal like everybody, breakfast, lunch and supper, you are getting 2 or 3 snacks within, you should be fine.
Okay, so the number has come now. So she said her weight was 69, I'm assuming that's kilos, and she's now at 46. That's 25 kilos.
And for since when?
And what is the duration of you were 69 when, and now you are 46, so then get an idea of exactly
but
where it is.
If she's concerned, she could always walk into any hospital, get to talk to a doctor. She'll be assessed, and a dietitian can work with her on her weight challenges.
Are you able to address the high rate of protein? So high protein.
So ideally there shouldn't be, you said in the urine?
Yes, in the urine.
So ideally there shouldn't be protein in the urine. So the kidneys are able to sieve out and then the waste, and then leave protein behind in the blood. So when there's protein in the urine, it means something is wrong. So the person needs to go to the hospital and get assessed.
Quick question, can a pregnant woman eat ripe plantain?
Of course. So some people develop a condition called gestational diabetes, where their blood sugars go up during pregnancy. And for people like that, we may encourage them to have foods that do not break into sugar quickly. Say it has foods that have low GI. Now, plantains, glycemic index, so it's the rates, it explains how quickly carbohydrates break into sugar when it is digested. So for people like that, or people at risk of developing gestational diabetes, we may recommend that they take foods that do not break quickly into sugar, and plantain is not one of them. So perhaps she's heard somebody being told not to take ripe plantain, but it's not forbidden if you're eating it in good proportion, and if you're eating it with a blend of the vegetables, there's protein, all these things come together to make the whole meal that you are eating not break into sugar quickly. So it's not forbidden, but you should be careful if they have gestational diabetes.
Okay, 055-556-1034. What's with pregnant women sometimes eat strange stuff while they're pregnant? Ayilo. You know, this looks like chalk. What's going on there? Why are they eating that stuff?
Okay, so when people get anemia, when their HB levels drop because iron levels are low, they develop a condition called pica, where they crave for things that are not food. So somebody craving for ayilo could be an indication that their iron levels are low.
What is ayilo's English name?
It's a clay. It's a white clay.
White clay.
So when people's HB iron levels are low, they crave for things, and some of the things are things that are earthy. So they are feeling for things that are high iron, like indirectly, unconsciously, the body is craving for iron, and so you crave for things that are no food. So if you are pregnant and you are craving for things that are no food, you have to get your HB checked. It could be an indication your blood levels are low.
Any other strange things that pregnant women eat?
Oh, usually it may be foods that they may not usually have eaten if they were not pregnant. Sometimes pregnant people crave for food. As long as it's a nutritious food, it is okay. You can go ahead with it. It shouldn't be a problem.
Ice cream at 1:30 a.m.
Oh, so if you are not taking the ice cream every day, it should be allowed. But if you are eating highly sugary things all the time, you could increase your risk of developing the gestational diabetes I mentioned before.
Another question here is 555-610-34 for Ernestina. Good morning. Is it advisable to eat a lot of pineapple during pregnancy?
Okay. So when it comes to, I want to address fruit and vegetable portions together. So usually the recommendation is to have at least 5 fruits and vegetables in a day, up to 7 if you're pregnant. Your 5 fruits and vegetables in a day could be, a portion of vegetable could be about a handful of cooked vegetables, or about 2 handfuls of fresh vegetables. 7 of fruits could be, a portion of fruit could be, for the small fruits the size of the orange, 1. So say 1 orange or 1 apple and 1 small banana is 1 fruit. And then for the very small fruits like grapes and berries, a handful should be okay. Very large fruits, a slice, like a wedge of pineapple or watermelon. So in a day you can have 5 to 7 of these if you are pregnant. You shouldn't make them all pineapple. You should have a variety of all these. Again. More colors again, colors. And then you should also, the fact that they are fruits doesn't mean that the sugars they are giving you doesn't count. So if you take too much fruit, it can affect your blood sugars as well. So you should have a variety of this throughout the day, at least 5 to 7 portions, and that should be okay.
Awesome. Now, so we've dealt with before and during. Now after, so after the baby has come out, what kind of food regime should you be on?
Okay, so you should still continue eating a healthy, balanced diet. And sometimes the advice that pregnant people get locally will be that you should drink a lot of palm soup, chew a lot of roasted granules with corn. But the thing is, you should just eat a balanced meal and drink a lot of fluids. So the breast milk is liquid, and you need water to make that. So it's either you are getting your fluids as water and eating a very balanced diet, or your fluids are in the soup and it will still work. So regular food intake, healthy food portions, and then maybe an additional snack. And then you drink a lot of water, at least minimum of 8 glasses in a day, and that should be able to help with breast milk.
Brief ones before we run off. Can a pregnant woman take cold water, cold water?
As long as they can tolerate it and they are not having any issues, it shouldn't be a problem.
Is it good for a breastfeeding mother to take in boiled peanuts or granuts? She's looking for the food that a lactating mother can eat, which will not harm the baby.
Okay, so no food will harm the baby as long as you are getting your protein. And granules are a good source of protein and fats, so they are good. So as long as you're getting your protein, your carbs, your vegetables, and your fruits, your healthy fats, it's fine. And drink a lot of water. So it's the water that will make the milk with the food you have eaten. So it's just getting a lot of water.
Last one for the road. My baby is 4 months old. My auntie always tells me to give the baby raw yolk mixed with formula. And that's going to make him healthy and fat. What do you tell Auntie?
Yeah, so yolks are very good source of protein, but like I said, for the pregnant women, they could be a source of infection that can really harm the baby. So babies should not be given raw eggs. It's a rule. It should be cooked. So you could add the yolk or the whole egg to the porridge. If you add it when the let's say if it's corn porridge, when the corn is cold in the water, you add the yolk, the egg cold with it together and heat it gradually under fire. It will not curdle. It will mix up nicely, so that's okay. The baby can eat it and still grow fine like they want to, but don't give it raw.
Okay.
Yes.
And corn porridge is cocoa, right?
Cocoa, yeah, corn porridge is the cocoa.
Just wondering. So we can't answer all the questions, but Ernestina Edufo, who is a registered principal dietitian, I'm sure we can reach you at how do we reach you?
Okay, so you could check our website. So
Okay.
it's quite simple. So it's Nutrid Wellness, like spelling nutrition. So NUTRID wellness as one word .com, and you can also reach us at 0244387278.
0244387278. Ernestina Edufo, registered principal dietitian. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
I've learned so much from the conversation. Thank you, Ernestina, for coming. A few birthday shouts here. Kasim Amadou of DVLA Wager Branch, a belated birthday to you. And also one of my goddaughters, there are plenty.
Yes.
Farida Abdul Zaku of Eastern Heroes International School, from your mom Hajia Rama Jawando, and your second mama GBC. My dear, happy birthday. And let me make a quick shout to the one who made this lovely outfit for me. It's from Biggest Stitches, and you can reach her on number 02082892331. So 02082892331.
All right.
And that is for Biggest Stitches. Thank you for a lovely outfit.
And happy birthday to Esther Moleme at the High Court General Jurisdictions Registries. Happy birthday to you. You share it with Ephraim Amu, who would have been 122 years old today. Yeah. And we wrap the show with a performance of one of his pieces by the Harmonious Chorale. Thank you very much, and thanks for watching. See ya. Hashtag GTV Breakfast. And yes, let's keep it nice and friendly and happy. Happy birthday to all of you celebrating your birthday. God bless.